Well, today we have a great question from one of the members of our community. How do you rebuild your social life after a major life change? Well, hi, friends. I'm Laura, and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, we are thrilled to have you. So grab your cup of coffee and let's talk about navigating life and friendship as wiser women in our golden decades. So, today we're talking about something many of us have gone through or will go through at some point in the near future. How do you rebuild your social life and reclaim your sense of belonging, whatever that looks like to you, after a major life change? Whether you've recently retired, gone through a divorce, a serious illness, the death of a partner or a close friend, maybe you've sold your family home, moved to a smaller place, a retirement community, or even had to move to a different state. Major life changes shake up everything, including your sense of belonging. If you've ever looked around and thought, where did my life go? Where did my people go? Or even, how do I begin again? Then I think this is a conversation that will help. We're smart, right? We know that it's completely normal for our friendships and our social routines to shift after a big life change. We may not like it, but we aren't shocked when it happens. We've seen colleagues, friends, and family go through the same thing. When I closed my company last October, I shared here on the channel my feelings as I left my empty office for the last time after 28 years. I admit now that I was a bit panicked at the time. The excitement of my newfound freedom wore off after just a few short weeks. And why wasn't it easier to settle into my new normal? I mean, come on, no more conference calls, no more lunch meetings, no more deadlines. Why did I miss all the things I had complained about for years? Well, I think what I figured out is that I just missed my normal routine. I missed the structure and the purpose that responsibility gave me. And honestly, I missed feeling needed. We all fear the unknown, right? Will there be opportunities like there used to be? Will people want our opinion? Will folks we've known for decades stick around? And how will we fill all those extra hours in the day? Well, in the short term, it's a bit of a roller coaster. Big life changes can leave you feeling out of sorts, maybe even depressed. I admit I was a little depressed. Relationships I thought were solid changed. And I had to accept that there were friendships in my life that were strictly transactional. They were never meant to weather the big shift in my life. Now, many of my professional friends, I use the term loosely, they faded first. And I get it. We were connected by one thing, the job. And when that ended, so did the lifeline that connected us. But even though I knew what to expect, I speak publicly about it all the time. I didn't feel great about it. In talking to other women, it sounds like a similar thing happens when you move later in life, when you leave all the little habits and patterns, the ones we take for granted, the people, the places we've accumulated in our normal routine over the years. The smiling face of the manager at your grocery store, the bank teller who always remembers a treat for your pup, the pharmacist at the local drugstore who knows your entire medical history, the server at your favorite breakfast shop who knows exactly how you like your coffee. It's funny, this morning I dropped my oldest son off at the airport. So on my way home, I stopped at my favorite bakery. Now, please don't tell. But before I even ordered, the gal was headed for the almond croissants. If my husband only knew how many of those I've had in my day. All these tiny touch points that add up to the life that you've created. When you go through a divorce, and I've been there, or become widowed, your whole identity and the friends attached to that chapter of your life often change too. It can feel lonely, disorienting, even a little embarrassing. And I use the word embarrassing because we often feel that our value was tied to the picture of our life that everyone saw, whether it was our family, our marriage, our career, our volunteer work. But when that was disrupted, we didn't feel like the same woman, that woman who had her act together. It's feeling like you no longer have value, and it's very isolating, as if it's time to be put out to pasture. And this isn't for me. Everyone who follows this channel knows that this is a place where we get to talk about those raw, embarrassing, even uncomfortable feelings. Because if we can't talk about it, we don't move on. We stop challenging ourselves and we accept feeling less than we used to be. I, for one, won't go down the rabbit hole, but there are days when it's tempting. The hardest person to convince that you have a lot more to give, a lot more to do, a lot more to accomplish, a lot more to experience is you. We get to move on. We're just changing course, not ending our journey. One of the members of our YouTube community said it best. We must continue to expand our world. So what do we do? Well, step one is give yourself time to mourn the change. Don't make any life-altering decisions too quickly. Give yourself time to settle in to your new normal. Give yourself time to say goodbye to the old. Yes, it's grieving a loss of identity, loss of community, or even the loss of your daily rhythm. I'll share with you that after we closed our company, I was pretty desperate to find my what next immediately. I was stressed. I was afraid that if I paused too long, I would never get back on track. But I finally was forced to let myself be sad because I was sad. This new chapter that had always seemed light years away had finally arrived. Don't feel like you're being selfish, feeling sorry for yourself. Let yourself say, yes, this is hard. Yes, I miss what I had, who I was, the positions I was in, the people I knew, whatever resonates with you. But you have to believe that there is something good ahead. So step two, I would say, that old saying, when one door closes, another door opens. Yeah, sure. But you have to be looking for that next open door. And it might just be a crack that you have to push wider. It doesn't usually drop in your lap. We wish it would. You need to put in the work, maybe even give the door a little kick. But just because we are older and wiser doesn't mean that things will come easily. Actually, the opposite, especially if we are pushing ourselves to learn, try, experience things that we've never done before, pushing ourselves outside of our comfort zone. So when you're ready, start small. It's human nature when any of us looks back on our life, anything we enjoyed, anywhere we had success, we remember when things were the best, when we were the happiest, right? We always forget all the hard work along the way that helped us reach those memorable moments. Now, you don't need to jump into a room full of strangers or sign up for a bunch of clubs. Start with little things, maybe one thing. A weekly exercise or a walking group, a monthly class, volunteer, learn a new hobby. Check out courses at your local college or drop in at your nearest senior center or YMCA. Take a tour, grab a schedule, or even just say yes. Say yes to an invitation, a program, yes to coffee with someone new. Think of it like planting a vegetable garden, right? You have to plant lots of seeds and tend to the crop before you can sit down to your beautiful dinner salad. Give yourself permission to be a beginner again. You're not behind, you're starting fresh. Now, what's helped me the most is being okay with being the beginner in the room. I've been the leader, but now I'm learning to follow for a change. And there is an added bonus. The expectations are much lower for beginners, especially if you're a senior citizen. Step 3, reconnect with the people you already know. Sometimes we overlook people. They're already in our life, but we just don't spend any time with them. An old friend or an acquaintance you lost touch with, a neighbor you say hi to but never actually talk to, someone from your church or an old job, someone you always liked but never got to know, someone you volunteered with a couple of times, someone you're friends with on social media who lives nearby and you're always interested in the things they post. Send a text, make a call, drop a note in the mail. Use social media and send a message if you don't have their number. Try something like, I've been thinking of you lately, would love to catch up over a cup of coffee, or I'd love to reconnect and hear how you're doing. You don't have to go it alone. Sometimes your next connection is just a few words away. Step 4 is give this whole process time. Give yourself some grace. The truth is that building a social life, whatever you want that to look like for you, takes time. More time than many of us want to invest. It can be just discouraging and real easy to give up. We sometimes have to talk ourselves into being happiest alone, even when that isn't our first choice. Yes, you get to choose what makes you happy, but don't assume too quickly without trying first. Be reasonable and realistic because not every coffee date turns into a friendship, and that's okay. We constantly underrate the value of friendly acquaintances. People that we only see when we're doing certain things in certain places. But it can be really uplifting making light conversation while doing something that you enjoy. Some people will come and go. Some activities won't feel like a fit, but you'll learn what lights you up and what kind of people you want to be around as you enter this new phase. So take your time. Don't rush. Don't invest too quickly. I mean, have you ever taken a class and gone out and spent a small fortune on supplies? I think most everyone has that closet with all the great intentions lining the shelves. Honestly, if I cross-stitched every day for the rest of my life, I wouldn't put a dent in all the patterns that I have. So you may be starting again, but you're not starting from nothing. You're starting over with a ton of experience, wisdom, and all those lessons, those tough lessons that we learned along the way. I hope you'll remember one thing, and a friend shared this with me. Your story isn't over. You can still have meaningful relationships, experiences, memorable moments ahead of you. The Olympics may be out of reach, but there are other dreams left to dream. So even if your world has gone through a major change, there are other women just like you, looking for laughter, interesting conversation, and companionship. So I'd love to hear in the comments what life change shook up your social life the most? And what's one step you took or are taking to reconnect? I appreciate you stopping by the channel. I love the community that we're building. So grab a cup of coffee and let us know. Have you gone through this? And how are you dealing with it? Take care. I'll see you next week on the channel. Bye-bye.